Welcome into the very first episode of Talk of the Town. I'm your host, Hannah Hartman with Speak Strategic. Talk of the Town is a new web series where we go around Charleston interviewing interesting people doing interesting things. Our first stop, Low Tide Brewing, right here on Johns Island. We caught up with founder Mike Fielding. Let's hear what he had to say. Mike, thank you so much for having us out to Low Tide Brewing today.
Thanks for coming out.
Of course, we just want to learn a little bit more about you, how it got started. What's your background and where did your love for craft beer first originate?
My love for craft beer originated in college when I started experimenting with trying beers, but my background's in academia. I did a few different things where I was in school in Ohio, in school in Charleston, and then I did some graduate programs in Australia before I decided I wanted to do Low Tide, and then I went back to business school and got a degree in marketing to pursue this.
What's the history of Low Tide and how has that degree helped you in marketing for Low Tide and getting the name out there?
Well, my kind of background before marketing was in science, which I think has also really helped my understanding for beer and crafting beer on a good level. I think a lot of it especially comes down to a knowledge of the fundamentals, especially in microbiology, to make sure the yeast is healthy and you're making good beer. But the marketing's definitely helped because it's a competitive beer market out there, and we try to have fun with it and try to get people excited about the Low Tide brand and the good beers that we're making.
Why Charleston? Why Johns Island? What helped you settle on this location?
It's a bit of two things. One, I love the area. I've been coming down to Charleston, Kiowa, Johns Island my entire life since I was really young, and fell in love with the Johns Island area. I volunteered on farms back here in college and got to know this area, and this is ultimately where I've always wanted to start a brewery. But the Southeast in general is kind of a little bit behind the times in terms of some laws changes to make craft brewing possible. And it's allowed the craft beer revolution to come a few years later than some other parts of the country. And there's still some business opportunity available in this area, and that it just kind of lined up with the area that I loved and wanted to be in.
Talking about these beers, what type of beer do you craft and what's your favorite?
It's kind of hard to pin down exactly what beers we make. We make a really wide variety, and that's a complete testament to Andy and the rest of the brewing staff here. They have a good grasp of the fundamentals and really can do the gambit from very traditional styles to very innovative styles, and everyone is just a hit one after another.
If you had to choose one beer that you could only drink one for the rest of your life, none of the other ones, you got to stick with one beer, which would you go with?
I mean, I often say that my favorite beer is the Beach Blanket Belgian Quad that we did last winter. It was 11.5% spiced holiday Belgian Quad. It was absolutely phenomenal, delicious. However, that's not a beer you want to drink every single day on a hot Charleston summer day. That's definitely not what you want. But we do. I mean, I love our IPAs. We did the Time Off 13 was probably the best one I think to date. And then we had our Coastal Harvest Gozo that was 3.5% light, refreshing with like a sour pucker on the end. That's just, that's what you would want to be drinking on a hot summer day. So it's too hard to pick one, but I'd probably go with one of our IPAs maybe that are just you can drink pretty much any day.
How about these ones we're drinking right now? Can you describe these for me?
So you're drinking the Sweet Caroline Kolsch. That's our best seller by volume by far. It's very approachable. It pairs well with seafood. That's why it's at a lot of restaurants in the Charleston area. It's also very approachable for people who like domestic beers to want to try a local craft option and make the bridge. And then I have the oat-faced stout, and this is the nitro version. We did a fun experiment where we took one beer that was all in one tank, identical beer, and we split it in two, where one had carbonation, like the Kolsch over here, and one had nitrogenation, like a Guinness. And so it just isolating that one variable, kind of bringing back to that science background where it's fun to do experiments like this. And you can try just the exact beer with like a normal beer with carbon dioxide or like a Guinness with nitrogen.
What sets Low Tide apart from other breweries?
I think it's two things. I think we like to have fun here. We like to have, it's a fun culture. We're getting ready for Halloween right now, and we go all out in decorations, going all out on Oktoberfest. But there's also attention to detail. We like to keep a very clean tap room. We like to have very good service. And the little details are what makes beer go from good to great. And it's a lot of work. It's very time consuming and painstaking, but it's worth it in the end.
Low Tide Brewing, new to the area. What do you see as the future for Low Tide?
I mean, I would like to see us expand beyond this building someday. I don't know exactly the timeline of that. 100%. We would definitely stay on John's Island if at all possible. I mean, we love this. The community out here is also one of the most rewarding things that we get. We've been sponsoring them with fundraisers and just having regulars come and just supporting us. And so we don't want to go anywhere. We want to keep supporting those local organizations and keep supporting this community as best we can. But we may outgrow this building before you know it. Who knows?
Well, Mike, it was an absolute pleasure learning more about you, learning more about Low Tide, getting to sip on a little bit of your beer. So
Absolutely. Cheers.
Cheers. Be sure to stop by Low Tide Brewing here on John's Island. It is a great time, great people.